Bowen Technique, Bowen therapy. It's developed from the work of an Australian called Thomas Ambrose Bowen, who worked as a therapist in Geelong, Australia, until his death in the mid-1980s. It's a very gentle, hands-on remedial therapy. It's a truly holistic therapy in that we treat the individual, we treat the person, not the condition. And we treat them by making very gentle moves using fingers and thumbs over soft tissue, whether it's nerves, muscles, ligaments, tendons, and particularly fascia, because fascia coats everything in the human body. And it provides a network which we're beginning to understand much more about now. Bowen is also sort of cutting edge anatomically in that we've done a lot of work with people like Tom Myers, developing ideas of anatomy trains, lines of strain and stress through the body, and understanding more about how the body actually works. What we're trying to do is to rebalance, in a sense, the way that the brain controls the body. The body always has to respond to whatever happens to it. The brain always has to be aware of what's going on with its body. And the body will always attempt to heal itself or to solve problems. So we're trying to trigger the body's own natural healing mechanism. And we do it by, in a sense, interfering with the communication between the body and the brain. I'll try and give you an example or two. The human body is a tensegrity structure. And what that means is that if you get any stress or strain in any part of the body, it affects the whole mechanism. So if you break a leg or experience some kind of trauma, or you are involved in a car accident, or you pull a muscle, that has an implication for the whole body. It's not just an individual muscle issue. Example. Very often when a woman has a baby, she will carry the child, particularly as an infant, on one side most of the time. Usually the right, because most people are right-handed. And what she'll very often do is she will push one hip out to make like a little shelf. So she's carrying the baby on one side, the hip goes across, makes a little shelf. Now I'll exaggerate that, watch what happens. The weight goes completely over onto the right. There's a break at the left knee. The whole body is now in a different position to the norm. It's out of balance for the norm for that body. But if that woman does that often enough and for long enough, the brain will say, look, if you want your pelvis moving from there to there, we can do that for you. No problem at all. And the pelvis will move across. That then becomes the norm. And the same happens with any kind of trauma. If there is any kind of stress or traumatic effect on the body will cope with that, and it may well become part of the normal pattern. Now, whilst that lady is carrying a hip like this, and the infant is growing, that may well become her normal position. Every cell in her body will die and be replaced. And for all of those new cells, this is the natural position of the body. One exception, brain cells. Brain cells do not die and are replaced. So in a sense, the original blueprint, which has the pelvis there, is retained somehow in the brain. But the body has got this position here. There may be no problem. But it might be that in 12 months, 10 years, maybe it's even 60 years, that lady is suffering from back pain, neck pain, pain in the knees, whatever. And we have instances where women come into clinic and say, I finally realised what my problem is. I've got all this pain. What's the problem? I've got one leg shorter than the other. Have you? Were you born with one leg short? No. Has anything happened to cause that? No, it just happened. No, it didn't. You don't have one leg shorter than the other. Your legs are the same length that they always were. What you've got is a pelvis that's tilted across, and that's had an impact on the rest of the body. And this can happen with any kind of stress or strain. Remember, the body always has to respond to what happens to it. If you take up javelin throwing and you're throwing a javelin right-handed, everybody understands the idea that you will develop the muscles in your right arm more than you will in the left. What people don't understand is that that also alters the shape and size of the bones, and of the ends of the bones in particular. It alters the relationship between fascia and muscle in that part of the body. And then when you stop throwing the javelin, competitively say, the brain says, well, hang on, wait a minute, if you don't want that muscle anymore, you must want fascia. So we'll take some of the muscle, we'll change it back to fascia. So top level athletes, when they've finished performing, if they don't maintain a good level of fitness, they will have even more problems than the normal individual will have with the aspects of the body that they've used. Okay? Now, what we are trying to do is to trigger the body to go back into the natural balance for that individual. There is no model that says this is perfect. There is a balance for every individual, and it depends on that individual as to what that balance is. So you are trying to get the body to realize that there is a potential problem in the way that it is controlled and to reset itself. So we have an advantage in the sense that we're working from the inside out. If somebody, the most common presentation we get is back pain. If somebody goes along with back pain, they may go to a chiropractor, an osteopath, a physiotherapist who will manipulate, they will move, they will attempt to put the part back where it should be, which is great and it can be very effective. The problem with it is that very often you put it back and the brain says, hang on, I've had that over here for the last 25 years, you've just put it there, I'm going to put it back again. And so the solution is not long lasting. The way we work is to try and encourage the body and the brain to rebalance itself using that control system. So therefore, the brain is saying, if you like, hang on, I've got this over here, that might actually be a problem, so I'll put it back to where it should be. And therefore, you can sometimes achieve a more long-lasting effect. Okay? It is, as I say, very, 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 very gentle. It's also unlike anything that you've ever experienced before, and people find this very, very strange, and Judith and I even find it strange as practitioners, because you're doing a little bit at a time. Because the part of the brain that you're trying to have a conversation with is actually a very, very primitive part of the human brain. It's much more ancient than the cognitive thinking part of the brain. It's the part that determines the flight or fight response. Yeah? So you do a little bit and then we have a little break, and you're giving time in your treatment for the body and the brain to work together to interpret what you are doing and to work out what their response has got to be. And then the brain will make the response. And you can actually get instances of people that you can actually see who are reacting on the table as you're treating them. And they will fascially unwind, which might mean that they're making various what appear to be strange movements, but it's as the body rebalances. It's more usual for that to take place over a period of days or even weeks. It can be hugely powerful, it can be extremely effective, and the worst thing that can happen is that nothing will happen. Because unfortunately, you know, it's the same as if you go to the doctor and you get pharmaceutical medicines, 80% of people find no problem, 20% of people get bad side effects. With us, the 20% is that nothing happens, and there's nothing we can do about that. And that's something we don't understand as to why it is that some people respond really well and others don't. I think that about covers everything that I would like to say. Thank you very much for your attention.